Did I get your attention? I hope so. In today's society, there's a lot of discussion about getting rid of certain weapons. We like to call them assault weapons, putting a ban on them altogether. Leads into the bigger topic of gun control. But what is gun control? What does it mean to us as a society? What does it mean to the world? And is it even as effective as they think it will be? Most of the reason we discuss this is the tragedies we've heard in the news, whether that was a concert venue being shot up, a bunch of protesters being fired upon, or a school being attacked. All tragedies. But at the end of the day, is getting rid of that specific weapon going to do the job we want it to do? I'm a gun owner, as you can clearly see. I've had guns my whole life. Today I'm going to discuss three areas of the conversation that I think need to be discussed. The first is going to be, what is an assault weapon? The second, what impact has that truly had around the world when we ban them? And third, a little bit of personal insight as to why I feel the way I feel on this subject. So the first thing, what is an assault weapon? According to Debbie Lord of the Journal News, she put a definition to it. And that's a magazine-fed rifle that is shoulder-fired, rapid repeating. This is intended to be used in the military. It's what we see in every movie where they can put a fully automatic weapon to their shoulder, squeeze the trigger once, and it continues to fire. That is a fully automatic weapon. So even by this definition by Debbie Lords, what we conceive to be an assault weapon is not actually an assault weapon. In Australia, they defined assault weapons as anything that repeats, including a 12-gauge shotgun. The reason this is important is because this is the round from an AK. An AK is deemed an assault weapon. You can see the size of that bullet. It's actually not a very large bullet, but because it is magazine fed, and you can put more than 30 of these in a clip and then rapidly fire them, that's an assault weapon. This is the BB from a shotgun. In fact, that's a BB from the shotgun I just showed you. This is the casing that comes in. So, when we start to discuss the different rounds, the different weapons, how quickly do we go from this being a dangerous assault weapon to this being a dangerous assault weapon? It's a very slippery slope. In Australia, they put a ban on all assault weapons. They bought back, mandatory buyback of 640,381 weapons. The government spent over $500 million to buy these guns back from their citizens. And what did they accomplish? This is in a report that I read from Samantha Putterman. She writes for PolitiFact. If you read her statistics, they're not quite as dramatic as the statistics I'm going to read from another blog I found called Gun Facts. She did her own research and came up with a much flatter line on her graph, but it nonetheless did not go down significantly. It didn't go up significantly, but it also did not go down. Gun Facts compiled their graphs from several different sources, and they came up with firearms murder in Australia has gone up as much as 19% since the ban. Armed robbery is up as much as 69%, and home invasion is up as much as 21%. And yet, they seized 640,381 repeating weapons, some identical to the one I showed you in the beginning of the video. As far as the world goes, and you consider homicide rates for countries, America doesn't even make the top 100, and yet we want to take away guns from our citizens. So that brings us back to gun control. I saw a bumper sticker one time that said, "Gun control is holding on with both hands." I chuckled a little bit. I can understand the sentiment. I am a gun owner. But I can understand why that is controversial and inflammatory. And that's not what I want to promote. I don't want to be stubborn and say, wow, I'm just going to hold on with both hands and not take into consideration the feelings of others. But it does bring up a good analogy. When we talk about holding on with two hands, what are we talking about? Well, as far as this country goes, we can hold on with two hands, right? The right and the left. Right now we have all of our conversations are separated down the middle, the right hand and the left hand, the right and the left. But if we come together and meet in the middle and actually hold together, bring that conversation to the table. And how do we do that? Well, Gandhi, he said it best. He said, among the many misdeeds of the British rule in India, history will look upon the act depriving a whole nation of arms as the blackest. Don't stop there. He went on to say, if we want the Arms Act to be repealed, if we want to learn the use of arms, here's a golden opportunity. If the middle class render voluntarily help to the government in this hour of trial, distrust will disappear, and the ban on possessing arms will disappear. So, a couple of things. One, he promoted people help the leadership, come to the table with the leadership, submit to the leadership. Because once the leadership trusted the people, then all their arguments for keeping guns away from the people disappear. And then once those arguments disappeared, then they could repeal the act that took those arms away from them to begin with. He, of course, was referring to the Indians Armed Act of 1878. My own family. Some of my favorite memories are sharing hunting stories and time out in the woods with my kids, my dad, my brothers, my friends. I don't want to lose that right because somebody sees my weapon as a deadly assault weapon. So let's educate each other. If you're a gun owner, take your friends out and show them the safe and proper way to use those. If you don't know anybody that owns a weapon, go to a shooting range and take a class and learn from a licensed trainer the proper way to handle a weapon. Educate yourself. Don't act out of emotion, act out of education. Thank you.